Dan and Paula, good morning. That's right. They were able to zero in on the suspect through tips and also security cameras here in the mall parking lot. They were able to identify his car and track it to a nearby town where they found him not hiding out, but simply walking around. The arrest happened without a single shot fired.
He was right there walking. I'm detained.
Suspected Cascade Mall shooter, 20-year-old Arkan Seaton, a recent high school graduate and grocery bagger, according to his Facebook page.
I saw an individual walking northbound on the sidewalk, and I instantly recognized. I did an abrupt U-turn, hit my lights, pulled my gun, and took the individual into custody.
They found him in Oak Harbor, Washington, a small Navy community about 40 minutes away from the shooting. Officers spotted him simply walking down the street.
He said nothing. He was kind of zombie-like. He did not have a weapon with him. He had a satchel, leather satchel, appeared to be a computer inside the bag.
Police arrested Seaton almost exactly 24 hours after the shooting rampage inside this Macy's. 4 women and 1 man shot to death near the makeup department. A MySpace page apparently belonging to Seaton shows several pictures of him posing with various firearms. Hours earlier, police had released new images from inside the mall. Seaton, they say, in a t-shirt and shorts, no tactical gear, and nothing to make him stand out before allegedly opening fire.
Force of 3 to 4 down inside. I got 1 rifle left in this area empty.
To see it happen 20 feet away from you is just, it's insane to me. It's crazy. And I never thought that I would be in that position to be staring at somebody who is losing their life, and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, you got your mobile command centers there, militarized police. And of course, the entire mall parking lot is empty for all these emergency vehicles to be stationed scattered like that. Where it looks like the mall is completely empty, like there's nobody even there. Look at that. Just look at that picture right there. This is a mall? Is nobody shopping? Did it just came in here and took over this entire area like that? All these parking spaces are empty by the main door? Really? 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 Look at this place. It's deserted.
Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's September 24th, 2016. Right now in my neck of the woods, there's a manhunt supposedly for a shooter that went on a rampage in a small mall in Burlington, Washington, late last night, September 23rd, 2016. This manhunt, it is a farce. It is a hoax because there was no shooting. What happened last night is a police drill was put on. Police often have drills at malls, theaters, public schools, the same places where they report all these mass shootings so often. What has been going on in this nation for decades is the police, the media, and the government conspire to create fictional tragedies for the sake of agenda, for control. All of these shooting hoaxes, they boost gun sales, they boost ammunition sales, and those are 2 of the biggest remaining industries in this country, gun manufacturing and bullets. This is a military nation. One of the only things left that are built here are weapons. Every single time they give us one of these stories, it's the same details. It's always a mocking. It's always a grainy, pixelated image. I mean, here we are in 2016, and the only image they have to show of the supposed shooter in the media is this. This could be truly anybody. Truly anybody. We have HD cameras everywhere, and this is the only image they can put out. I live in Washington State. This happened next to Interstate 5, the major freeway, which has cameras all over it. Every street corner in this region has cameras on it. There are cameras everywhere in Washington State. This is already a police state, a surveillance state. There are police everywhere. There are state troopers everywhere. There are so many police in Washington State. This entire story is just impossible. It would be impossible for somebody to shoot up a mall and get out of there in time. There are cops everywhere. And where do the cops stay on Friday nights? They stay at places like the mall where people go to. There must have been so many police already have been around the mall. Last night, they're telling people they already got the feds searching. The feds can't find this, how old is he? Early 20s, supposed teenager? I mean, this is just such a joke. Let's watch the news coverage, Sergeant Mark Francis. I'll show you how Margic Francis is an agent of deceit selling us out. I'll try to give Mark Francis a phone call tomorrow. These are the people selling us out. This is the scum of the earth right here. Presenting a drill as real information. And True Seeker, you should know, the last time there was a big shooting hoax up here in my backyard and I exposed that the police burglarized my home to send a message. Plus more. Watch my video, Consequences of Being a Truth Speaker. Anyway, let's watch this and then we'll decode what a mockery this is of us all. Nobody was shot. Nobody's dead. This is 100% propaganda.
This all happened just before 7 o'clock tonight. Last description on the shooter was that he was leaving from the mall, heading west towards I-5. He was described as a Hispanic male wearing gray, was the description given to us. As far as weapon used or motive, that's what we're still trying to figure out right now.
Inside the mall, there were hundreds of people that were hiding. What's the situation with people in the mall? Where are they now?
So originally our hope was to get EMS in there. Now we've got to clear the entire building right now before we can send EMS in. So that's where we're at now, trying to clear this entire mall.
We know that there were mall sweeps that happened, especially when there were people inside hiding, sheltering in place. What's the process from here on out?
So secure the building, investigate, and at the same time trying to track down the shooter or shooters.
There's still a lot of activity around here, a lot of police agencies. How are we going to track down that shooter who seemed to have fled on foot?
Hopefully we're getting phone calls, we're getting good tips, and we've got our officers going back and forth, tracking down all these leads.
We hear choppers above us. Who's all out looking for this suspect?
I've seen federal, I've seen state, I've seen tribal, I've seen county and city, so absolutely everyone you can think of.
For people watching at home that fear this could happen.
Federal, state, tribal, same groups involved in the shooting in Marysville, Washington 2 years ago, about the exact same region. Marysville, Washington's right next to this mall.
To them, this could be in their neighborhood. This is a small town mall. What's your message to them?
We live in precarious times. Just stay aware, stay cognizant of your surroundings. And
these people are sick.
If something like this happens to you, play the win game. Unfortunately, we live in a society where you got to think about this thing possibly happening to you. And my message is to be a fighter.
His message is to be a liar, a deceiver. Do whatever you got to do for the paycheck.
We started getting calls just before 7 o'clock of an active shooter inside the mall. The suspect left before we could get here. Last known description is a Hispanic male wearing gray, walking west away from the mall towards Interstate 5. We haven't been able to confirm if it was just one shooter or not. The 4 confirmed inside the mall. So we did our initial clearance. Now we've got EMS going with a police escort. So my hope is, or our hope is, that perhaps that number 4 will go down if they can get to him in time to save some lives. As far as now, the investigation will start trying to track down who this shooter or shooters are, as well as investigate the shooting inside the mall.
How many do we have inside injured at this point? You said you tweeted out the EMT was on their way.
Correct. I've heard that we have some injured, but I haven't got a number.
The 4 confirmed dead. What store were they found and where were they found?
I haven't confirmed that. Originally it was put out as Macy's, but I haven't been able to confirm that.
Can you tell us what store he entered through, what type of weapon he was carrying?
None of those have been confirmed yet.
We see some people behind you who look like they may have been in the mall at the time. Can you tell us what happened to the survivors?
So as far as survivors, what we're doing now, behind us you can see the buses. So what's going to happen, we're going to load up the survivors onto the buses, and then just across the street is His Place Church, where they will be reunited with their families.
There have been a number of reports from eyewitnesses talking about seeing the gunman. Can you tell us what type of weapon he was carrying? I haven't
received confirmation on that yet.
Are there people still sheltering in place, hiding inside? We heard reports of that earlier.
So the initial clearance is done, so everyone inside the mall should be out. And so now we're doing our thorough secondary searches to make sure, checking all the nooks and crannies.
Can you describe who's here? SWAT team, Border Patrol,
You've
choppers,
got,
who's
yeah,
here?
you've got absolutely everyone you can think of law enforcement-wise here right now.
Like who?
You've got bomb canines, so you've got county, city, federal, state. You've got bomb canines. You've got tracking canines. So you name it, it's here.
SWAT
Can you
teams,
tell
were
us
they
about
here
the
sweeping
suspects?
The area? Is that true? Were the SWAT teams here
Yeah,
sweeping
right.
the area?
So the way it works, obviously the first person to enact a shooter scene is going to be the beat cop, the one who's working the road. The SWAT guys are going to have to gear up. They're going to have to mobilize and get there, and so they'll come after the fact. The first responders who are there are the local guys who are working
And
that
choppers
area.
above, who's looking for?
So you've got, I believe, we've got King County Air Support here right now. That's what I've been told so far.
What can you tell us about the suspects? You had mentioned suspect or suspects. What do we know about that person or persons?
What I've given is all I know so far. Male, Hispanic male. Hopefully we'll be able to get more descriptions out there. The Hispanic male wearing gray is what I was told.
Are you still interviewing people who are inside the mall? Tell me about the investigation, what the process is now.
Yeah, so now anyone we can get, any survivor we're able to locate, obviously we want to get there.
Here's what we know so far. Now, it was around 7 o'clock or so when police say that a gunman armed with a long gun walked inside of that Macy's there in the Cascade Mall in Burlington. Now, witnesses say he fired several rounds and then took off before police arrived. Now, investigators have released a picture. They say the gunman is a Hispanic man with black hair and a black shirt. He was last seen walking away from Cascade Mall towards I-5. The motive behind the shooting still unknown, so frightening to so many people, and the search is still on for the suspect.
We are still actively looking for the shooter. Again, caution people, stay indoors, stay secure. If you see something, say something, but definitely stay locked down in your houses until we can get this guy caught.
Molly and Eric, people here are ready to jump in and help. We're just outside of His Place Community Church. It's just a couple blocks south of the crime scene. I'll give you a look back here. Now, the volunteers that you can see, they are working with the people who have been trying to reach their loved ones and help them get through a tense and anxious night. Now, the church, it opened its doors a short time ago. It's offering people a place to get out of the cold and try to calm themselves down while they wait to hear word from the people that they are here waiting to see. Now, most of the people that they are waiting for, they're employees at the mall, though we do believe that some of them may have been shoppers as well. The big problem is that a lot of people who are waiting don't know the status of their friends or family members, and they're trying to stay positive. Oh, others have been a little bit more lucky. They've got some kind of reassurance that the people they're waiting for, well, they are okay.
I just found a couple of his coworkers, and they said that they were with him when they went into Lovers, and they were hiding out there, and he'll probably get in contact, or they'll probably bring him out here.
A call just to say, hey, you know, there was a shooting at the mall, and we're okay, we're alive, but they won't let us leave yet.
Well, it is unclear exactly how many survivors might be brought to this church. We've been told that the buses are ready to arrive at any moment. There are a lot of volunteers in this place. They're ready to help with those first arrivals. Now, you can see back here live, they've standing by at the doors to greet people. There are some real high anxiety levels. The people that we spoke to, they say that they just can't believe that this type of deadly shooting incident could happen in a small town like this. Reporting live here in Burlington, Joel Marino, Como News.
Such a frightening situation for so many people, Joel. Thank you very much.
The role of the media in all of this is to, of course, reinforce these narratives and delusions. And the media, everything's staged in the media. Virtually everything you see on CNN is either a half-truth or a complete lie, or is a distraction from the actual important news that you should be paying attention to. Mainstream media stages fake scenes. They set up studios and then act like they are on-site reporting from a war zone, for example. They'll put two people in the same parking lot and act like one of them is a remote reporter somewhere else. They'll just stage it. It's so laughably obvious that they're manipulating this. They will use different camera angles to try to create the appearance of large crowds when it's just a small group of people, or they'll move the camera away from something that they don't want you to see. They manipulate everything. It's all theater. It's all designed to create this elaborate narrative, because what the media has discovered is that they can fool most people very easily, at least for some period of
Gary
time.
Horker is not far away. He's at His Place Church. That is about half a mile south of the mall in Burlington. That is where buses took people who were inside the mall. Have they arrived yet, Gary?
They have not, and we were told within the last hour they would load the buses that were gathered at the Cascade Mall closer to where Henry Rossoff is, and they were going to get all the people who were inside the mall, all the survivors, the witnesses, the people who were in lockdown in 20, 30 different stores. They were all going to get onto those buses and then come to this church. It's His Place Church, about a quarter mile away on Pease Road and South Burlington Boulevard. But we are still in a holding pattern, and we're not sure why. The guess at this point, and our best estimation, is that it's a situation where they're all going to have to be debriefed. Everyone inside that mall who saw or heard anything and then went into lockdown is going to have to tell police what they saw, when they saw it, and they're going to piece all of that into one story and then try and find out if that leads to the killer at this point. I want you to take a listen to a woman that we interviewed earlier. Her niece was doing hair at the Regis Hair Salon and made a phone call, very quickly left a voicemail, and then locked herself in a locker. And this is what she had to say moments ago.
She talked to her grandma a little bit ago, who contacted me and said that I guess they locked themselves in the bathroom there, and yeah, so I'm not sure what happened after that.
Just put yourself in these people's shoes. They were getting voicemails and texts from people who were throughout the mall, people who were working at the mall, and then people who were shopping at the mall, and they had to stay in lockdown. As a matter of fact, people in the Target store, just within the last 20 minutes, were just being debriefed and were in the process of being released. When those buses come here, they're going to be reunited with family members, and this is why they're coming here. The whole mall, the parking lot, is now a crime scene. They're not going to be able to get their cars. This is going to be the center point for the reunion, and we're going to be here standing by live for when that happens. For now, reporting live at His Place Church, I'm Gary Horker, Cover 7 News.
Right now, our breaking news coverage tonight included Jesus Villahermosa. He's of Crisis Reality Training.
He is an expert in active shooting situations. He helped us understand the difficulty and the terror people face when confronted with a gun.
The only goal of an active shooter is to kill, and so they're not going to bypass you. So if you're near the shooter, you want to run, and you don't want to just run a little ways. You want to keep running.
Keep running, and there were a lot of people in that mall that did just that tonight. The headline out of all this is exactly what has been talked about here for about the last hour or so, that the first word we got was 4 fatalities, plain and simple. And then they began hedging that just a little bit, saying perhaps that number will go down. And so far, that is the situation, with now officially 3 deceased and 1, a man brought to Harborview Medical Center here in Seattle, the trauma, level 1 trauma unit, best in the West as far as we're concerned here in this area. Perhaps not likely to make it, but there is a chance. And there is 1 person who has non-life-threatening injuries, and that likely the one that we got confirmation from the hospital in Burlington earlier this evening, the 1 person brought there. So now we're up to 5. What we haven't heard yet, if there are any others still inside that may be wounded and may be attended to, we're getting also more information about survivors.
That's right, and we know that this was a very crowded mall when this all happened. We also know that some of the survivors are being taken to His Place Church on Pease Road and Burlington Boulevard, where our Gary Horker is right now. Gary, are you seeing those people arrive?
Yeah, the first few people, relatives of the survivors, are here, and one of them is Victor Solano, and Victor's brother was working in the mall?
Yeah, he was working in the mall at TJ Maxx.
And you were describing to me before the heart-rending moment when you heard there was an active shooter. You know you've got a family member in there. You could not get any information. You couldn't get a hold of him.
No, he usually leaves his phone in his locker, so he doesn't carry his phone while he's working, so I couldn't get in contact with him. I was just worried. I didn't know what was going on, really. I just saw a bunch of cops pull up, and I just went over there right away.
And they didn't let you in, huh?
I mean, yeah, I tried to ask them to find out what was going on, but they just told me I couldn't be there and I had to go park somewhere else.
This place, you've lived here for a while?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about, Burlington is kind of a quiet place.
It is.
Tell me about what goes on in your heart when you know that there were people shot tonight, some fatally, in Macy's, in your quiet town.
Well, it's just really shocking. I wouldn't expect that from this town, It's small, it's quiet. It's just really shocking.
At some point, you're going to get your brother here.
Yes.
What's the first thing you're going to do when you see him?
Probably give him a hug. Yeah.
Overdue hugs. A lot of them are going to be happening. A lot of relieved people are going to be seeing their relatives for the first time. Workers and shoppers are going to be dropped off here, and Victor Solano is going to be one of them. There are a few more over here, and they're going to be reunited with the people they love. Many people relieved that they're going to find out that their loved ones are okay, but obviously we got to keep our hearts, our thoughts, and everybody's prayers with the 5 people right now who are going to get the most devastating news they're ever going to hear.
Gary, I see
and
Victor
that
is walking
news is
away
probably unfolding right now.
Yeah, Gary, I see Victor is kind of walking away from you. I was just wondering, has he now made contact with him via telephone in any way, shape, or form? Did his brother tell him what he saw inside the mall, or did he just rush out?
You asked very good question, Steve, and I'm going to relay that. Victor, did you talk to your brother yet?
No, I have not talked to him yet, no.
But how'd you know to come here?
I saw on the schedule breaking news, they were saying that they were going to transport people here.
Yes, okay. So and it's been all over social media as well as police Twitter. Trooper Mark Francis told all of the survivors, relatives, the shoppers, the people working in the mall, that this is the place where they're going to finally bring everybody together. So obviously when he talks to his brother, it's going to be the first time since this news broke. So you're dealing with a pretty emotional situation here, Steve.
All right, Gary, thanks. I appreciate it. We don't mean to, pry, but again, we're trying to get the story here and see if he has heard anything at all. At least he knows his brother's going to be on one of those buses and be at that church within probably a matter of moments.
Boy, you could see him, though, shaking his leg and looking at his phone. And
relieved.
Can't imagine just the wait for him to be able to put his eyes and arms around his brother for himself as we continue coverage of this mass shooting now from Burlington.
A shooting at the mall in Burlington. We have 5 victims now. Police on the hunt for the person responsible. The very latest coming up tonight at 11 o'clock. I see Gary standing there.
What is this? Okay. So we have no scripts. We're just going.
Yeah. He just had to fire up on machines, which are running low on juice.
Outside men's Macy's, please move
There's
away.
nothing in here. In the 11, if there's...
X-ray 1618, did you copy? We need to move folks away from the west men's Macy's windows. Correction, southeast.
Cairo 7 at 11 starts right now.
Breaking news, there is an all-out manhunt for this man, who authorities say was armed with a rifle after shooting and killing 3 women at the Cascade Mall in Burlington. We cannot show you his photo enough. He is said to be Hispanic and was last seen wearing a black T-shirt. Police say he is considered armed and dangerous.
12 Cascade.
My brother was actually in there.
Did he hear the shots? How did he know it was happening?
I have no idea. I haven't been able to get in contact with him.
Now, in addition to the 3 women killed, another man and another woman are being treated for gunshot wounds. The man is in critical condition, and those who escaped the gunfire are being bused to a nearby church.
They're the Chuck E. Cheese entrance to the mall. It is a large, large space, a number of restaurants, movie theaters, and on a Friday night, you can only imagine when our Henry Rossoff arrived there, the police first told him the place was packed tonight. That was until the firing started.
That's right, and that's just under 500,000 square feet that they're dealing with there. Henry Rossoff has been live there all night. What's been going on in the last couple moments, Henry?
Well, we're still standing by for that briefing from law enforcement, but I want to play you a soundbite from the last time they updated us a little while ago, and it speaks to that heavy task at hand law enforcement had when they get the call that there's an active shooter situation at such a complex area like this. The trooper broke it down in very simple and very understandable terms. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Search command from Cascade.
You look for the bad guy, and then the detectives start doing their investigation. So
I wanted to have finished searching the vehicles or heading back to your command post further for them.
Why he did this.
As you look live now at one of the buses used to transport people hiding in the mall and victims to where Gary is at the church to be reunited with family members, that question of motive is still the burning question at this hour. We were asking law enforcement if perhaps this gunman was targeting women, because 4 out of 5 victims, including the 3 who died, were women. They said they weren't sure. The FBI says they don't believe another attack is imminent, speaking to the more macro view or perhaps the possibility of terrorism. But again, law enforcement, until they find out who this guy is and find out a little bit more information about him, don't have enough of a motive to understand or to know why he did this. Right now, the focus is just on finding him, and that's why we keep showing you that picture over and over and over again. And that's why there's still so many law enforcement members here at the mall just looking for that one clue that might be able to break this case, might be able to give them an identity, a lead on where to find this guy tonight, because until he is found, they are saying this community is still very much so in danger.
Police in the United States have apprehended a suspect in Friday's shooting at a shopping mall in Washington state, in which 5 people were killed. Authorities identified the suspect as Arjan Cetin, a 20-year-old green card holder from Turkey. He was taken into custody on Saturday local time after police reviewed security camera footage and identified his car. Now, his motive is still unclear, but police are not ruling out links to terrorism. Meanwhile, 8 people were injured in a shooting in Baltimore on Saturday night local time. All the victims...
Police in the U.S. have apprehended a suspect in Friday's shooting at a shopping mall in Washington state, in which 5 people were killed. Authorities identified the suspect as Arjan Cetin, a 20-year-old green card holder from Turkey. He was taken into custody on Saturday local time after police reviewed security camera footage and identified his car. His motive is still unclear, but police are not ruling out links to terrorism. Meanwhile, 8 people were injured in a shooting in Baltimore on Saturday night local time. All the victims are expected to survive. The police call the attack a premeditated act of retaliatory violence in response to a shooting earlier this month that killed 1 person in the same area.